Okay, so next up is Wolfgang Gruel. Wolfgang was a researcher in our group for a while. But he's now back in Stuttgart. He worked also at Daimler Mobility. In fact, he worked at Daimler Mobility Services and was instrumental in the development of the Car2Go system. He's now at Stuttgart Media University's Institute for Mobility and Digital Innovation, and they're focused on developing more sustainable mobility modes and how to make use of new technologies. So, old friend Wolfgang Gruel.
So, hello everyone. So, as Kent already said, I'm working at the Stuttgart Media University, and today I'm going to talk more about the implementation of things. So, how do we get all these great ideas that we have right here to the people, because they don't necessarily like the ideas that we have. And one idea we're just talking about is electric mobility. And I think the next slide could come up. I'm from Stuttgart, and Stuttgart is probably the city in Germany with the worst air quality. And as probably most of us, we in Stuttgart don't love to be in bad air either. So the question is actually, how can we deal with this project, and how can we come up with better solutions? And probably one way to deal with this problem of bad air caused by combustion engine vehicles is to just use vehicles that don't create emissions. And electric vehicles are solutions for this problem because they don't pollute. So, quick question from my side to you would be, who of you thinks electric vehicles would be a good solution for the problem that I've just mentioned? There are a few. Usually it's way more, because usually everyone says electric vehicles just don't pollute, and probably they are the solution for all these problems. Who of you actually used one of these vehicles before? That's not too bad. And who uses them every day? That's quite a few, and that's actually the problem, because many people think it's a good idea to have these vehicles, but they say, oh, it's probably not a good idea for me. And the question is, how can we get these vehicles to our road? How can we convince people to do this? And how to get more people into electric vehicles is the big question I am talking about today. And many politicians talk about this as well, and they say we need subsidies, we need incentives to get more people into electric vehicles, and yeah, we all know this could work, but actually very few people of us, unless maybe it is about iPhones or something like that, like to spend more money on inferior products. So people say, I get less, but have to pay more, so I'm not in for electric vehicles. That's one argument they usually come up with when it's about electric vehicles, but that's not all. They also come up with more excuses. They say, oh, it's not very practical. And that's probably right if you want to do a road trip, or if you want to do cross-country trip, but for most cases, electric vehicles are proven to be a very good fit. So you can visit your friends, you can do your groceries, you can do your daily commute, but people don't believe that. They say, oh, it's not for me. I think, no, I'm a little bit scared, maybe it doesn't fit all my needs, and maybe there is this one day in the year where I don't have, where I need another car, and it sounds like they have a lot of prejudices. And we actually know quite a lot from prejudices from racial research, so it's a social science discipline. And the question is, how can we apply these insights from social research to adoption of electric vehicles? And we know prejudices are high if people are not involved and not exposed to things that they don't know, and they decrease as soon as they get in touch with new things. And that is why we have to get more people to try out electric vehicles, to test them. But obviously it's quite hard to just give away electric vehicles for free, and test driving does also not do the job, because it doesn't integrate these electric vehicles into the daily lives of the customers. The question is then, what other great ideas can we come up with? And one idea that we're working with at the moment is with the German Driving School Association. It's about mobility education. It's not only about car driving, it's also about intermodal mobility, and it's also about getting people in touch with electric vehicles. But this is just for driving students. The question is, can we also tackle experienced drivers. And the way to address more experienced drivers would be to actually involve electric vehicles in car sharing schemes. Car sharing is basically a rental scheme that's very convenient. You just rent cars by the minute or by the hour. You just use them when you need them, and basically you don't have a big commitment, and you use them in your everyday life. And I'm choosing the example of Car2Go because I've been working for Car2Go and have quite some insights from that company. Car2Go is a free-floating car-sharing system. That means you just take a car wherever you find one, you drive wherever you want within a business area, you drop the car again, and then you're done. No hassles, no payment for any additional gas, and so on. And Car2Go actually has a lot of electric vehicles in its fleet already. It's about 300 customers, and this brings electric vehicles to the people, and they can experience electric vehicles in their everyday life. And some of them are quite scared at the beginning because all these crazy blocks are quite intimidating if you see them at first, but you can choose whether you want to use just a service or if you want to deal with the technology. And we actually have many people that after they got into these vehicles are also interested in how they work and how to charge these vehicles. And we got a lot of interesting feedback and very positive feedback as well, and people are actually excited about these electric vehicles. They love it. They just don't want to get out anymore because the driving characteristics is better for the one party, and the other will say, oh, I'm feeling more eco-friendly, so that's quite a good thing. And it's not only our users that can learn from car sharing with electric vehicles, it's also the cities, the energy providers who learn about their infrastructure. It's also the car manufacturers that learn about how to design better electric vehicles, and it's also the sharing companies like Car2Go that can learn a lot. But this is just the beginning of the future electrification. As soon as we have autonomous vehicles, and Michael was already talking about that, these vehicles can go to the charging spots. So the hassle of recharging the vehicles is probably gone, and you will probably use electric vehicles just as a service and don't have to care about that anymore. So the combination of electric vehicles and car sharing probably leads to more enlightened, more educated users, and hopefully to better air, not only in Stuttgart, but all over the world. Thank you very much.